I'm going to tell you something the sales page won't. Not because I think robot vacuums are bad, not because I think you shouldn't buy one, but because I bought one without knowing this, and I spent 6 months frustrated before I understood what I'd actually purchased. Here it is: a robot vacuum is not a vacuum that happens to be automated. It's a navigation system that happens to clean. That distinction matters more than anything else on the spec sheet. Let me back up. 2 years ago, I was standing in a big box store looking at a wall of robot vacuums. The price range was absurd, $200 to $1,400. I couldn't figure out why. They all had round bodies. They all had spinning brushes. They all claimed to have smart navigation and powerful suction. The spec sheets didn't help. One model had 2,000 pa of suction. Another had 2,500 pa. A third had 4,000 pa. What does that mean in practical terms? I had no idea. I still don't really. I've never felt suction and thought, ah yes, this is definitely 2,500 pascals. So I did what everyone does. I looked at reviews, I watched YouTube comparisons, I read wirecutter guides. I joined Reddit threads where people argued passionately about LiDAR versus camera-based navigation. And I learned absolutely nothing useful. Because here's what no one tells you up front: the suction power doesn't matter nearly as much as you think it does. The brand doesn't matter as much as you think it does. Even the price doesn't correlate cleanly with performance. What matters is whether the robot can navigate your specific home, and you can't know that until you try it. That's the thing they don't put on the box. I bought a mid-tier model, not the cheapest, not the most expensive. It had LiDAR navigation, which everyone online said was better than camera-based navigation. It had 2,500 pa suction, which seemed like the middle of the range. It had a self-emptying dock, which people said was essential. The reviews were good. The company had been making robot vacuums for years. It checked all the boxes. I brought it home, unboxed it, set it up, and sent it on its first mapping run. It took 20 minutes to map my downstairs, living room, kitchen, hallway, dining room. The app showed a clean floor plan. I labeled the rooms. I set a schedule: Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 a.m. Then I forgot about it. For 3 weeks it was perfect. I'd leave for work and I'd come home to clean floors. The app showed completed runs. The base station collected dust. Everything worked exactly as advertised. I told my friends to buy one. I said it was the best purchase I'd made all year. Then it got stuck, not dramatically, not in a way that broke anything, it just stopped. I came home and found it in the hallway 6 feet from the dock, battery at 4% with an error message: wheels stuck, please check for obstructions. There were no obstructions, the hallway was empty. I picked up the robot, checked the wheels, nothing. I set it back down, manually sent it to the dock, and it drove there without issue. I assumed it was a one-time glitch. It wasn't. Over the next month, it got stuck somewhere every third run. Sometimes on the same rug edge it had cleared 50 times before. Sometimes in the middle of an empty room. Sometimes facing the dock 3 feet away as if it couldn't see it. I cleaned the sensors. I wiped the camera. I updated the firmware. I deleted the map and remapped the house. Nothing helped. The frustrating part was that it worked perfectly sometimes. I couldn't predict when it would fail. It wasn't consistent enough to avoid a specific room or time of day. It was random. Or at least it felt random. Here's what I eventually learned: it wasn't random, I just didn't understand the variables. Robot vacuums navigate using sensors: cameras, LiDAR, cliff sensors, bumpers, wheel encoders. Those sensors feed data to software that builds a map and plans a route. The map is stored in memory. Every time the robot runs, it compares what it's seeing now to what it remembers. If those two things match, the robot feels confident. It moves quickly. It takes direct routes. If they don't match, if the lighting is different or furniture has moved or there's a new shadow or the sensors are slightly dirty, the robot gets confused. It slows down, it double-checks. It tries to reconcile the discrepancy. Sometimes it succeeds, sometimes it gives up and stops. The issue wasn't the robot. The issue was that my house had too many variables. My living room has floor-to-ceiling windows on one wall. In the morning, the room is flooded with sunlight. In the afternoon, it's dim. In the evening, I turn on lamps. Each lighting condition creates different shadows, different reflections on the hardwood, different visual data for the camera. The robot built its map at 10 a.m. with bright sunlight. When it ran at 10 a.m., it matched the map perfectly. But if I manually started a run at 7 p.m., the room looked completely different to the camera. The map didn't match. The robot hesitated. My dining room rug had a pattern, geometric shapes in dark blue and cream. The robot's camera saw the pattern as texture, not as a flat surface. Depending on the angle of approach, the pattern sometimes looked like a shadow or obstacle. The robot would stop, reconsider, and try a different angle. The hallway had a slight threshold between the hardwood and tile, maybe 8 m tall. The robot cleared it most of the time. But when the battery was below 30%, it didn't have enough torque to climb the threshold reliably. It would try, fail, back up, try again, fail again, and eventually give up with a wheels-stuck error. None of these variables were obvious to me. They weren't things I thought about when buying the robot, but they were the difference between a robot that worked and one that didn't. And here's the key insight: the robot couldn't tell me why it was failing. The app just said error. It didn't say the lighting changed, or the battery is too low for this threshold, or the rug pattern is confusing the camera. It just stopped and waited for me to intervene. This is what I wish someone had told me before I bought it. Robot vacuums are profoundly literal. They don't adapt well. They don't improvise. They work beautifully in consistent environments and struggle in dynamic ones. If your home has consistent lighting, no large windows or blackout curtains or scheduled runs that match natural light cycles, minimal thresholds, all one-floor type, or very low transitions, simple furniture layouts, not a lot of chair legs clustered together, predictable obstacles, nothing that moves day to day, then a robot vacuum will probably work great for you. If your home has variable lighting, big windows, or rooms you use at different times with different light sources, thresholds between rooms, tile to hardwood, hardwood to carpet, dense furniture, lots of table legs, bar stools, floor plants, things that move, kids' toys, dog beds, shoes by the door, then a robot vacuum will probably frustrate you. And there's no spec sheet that tells you this. There's no feature list that says works best in static environments. You have to figure it out by trial and error. Let me tell you about LiDAR versus camera navigation, since that's the big debate online. LiDAR, light detection and ranging, spins a laser around the room, measuring distances to create a 2D or 3D map. It works in the dark, it's not affected by lighting changes, it's fast. Camera-based navigation uses a camera to capture images of the room, then uses visual SLAM, simultaneous localization and mapping, to figure out where it is. It's cheaper to manufacture. It can recognize objects, cables, shoes, pet waste. Everyone online says LiDAR is better, and in controlled environments it is. But here's what they don't tell you: LiDAR is just measuring distances. It doesn't know what objects are. It sees a chair leg as a vertical obstruction. It sees a floor lamp as a vertical obstruction. It treats them the same way, avoid both. Camera-based navigation can tell the difference between a chair leg and a cable. It can route around the cable and ignore the chair leg because chair legs don't move. That's objectively smarter. The problem is that camera-based navigation depends on good lighting. In dim rooms or at night, the camera sees noise. The robot slows down, it becomes cautious. It might stop entirely and ask you to turn on a light. So which is better? It depends on your home. If you have consistent lighting and want speed, LiDAR wins. If you have lots of floor cables and need object recognition, camera wins. If you have dim rooms with lots of cables, both will struggle for different reasons. There's no universal better. There's only better for your specific environment, and you can't know that until you try it in your home. Here's the second thing I wish I'd known: the self-emptying dock is not optional. I thought it was a luxury feature. Nice to have, but not essential. I was wrong. A robot vacuum without a self-emptying dock requires you to empty the dustbin after every run, sometimes mid-run if you have a lot of pet hair. You have to open the robot, pull out the bin, empty it into the trash, and reinstall it. That takes maybe 60 seconds. Not a huge deal, except it defeats the entire point of automation. If you have to touch the robot after every run, you're not saving time. You're just shifting the labor from push vacuum around house to empty robot dustbin. The self-emptying dock means the robot can run for weeks without you touching it. The base station holds 30 to 60 days of dust, depending on your home. You only interact with it once a month to replace the bag. That's actual automation. The price difference is significant, usually $200 to $400 more for a model with a self-emptying dock. But it's the difference between a tool that needs daily management and one that actually fades into the background. If you can't afford the self-emptying dock version, I'd seriously consider waiting and saving up, or buying a previous generation model that has it. It's that important. Third thing, robot vacuums are terrible at edges and corners. This seems obvious in hindsight, but it wasn't to me. The robot is round. Corners are 90-degree angles. The brush can't reach into the corner because the body is in the way. Some models have side brushes that extend out to sweep debris from the edges toward the center suction. Those help. But they don't solve the problem, they just make it less bad. If you have a lot of baseboards or cabinets with toe kicks or corners where dust collects, the robot will miss them. Every single time. You'll still need to vacuum those areas manually every few weeks. Again, not a deal breaker, but it's something to know up front. A robot vacuum does maintenance cleaning. It handles the middle 80% of your floor area. You're still manually cleaning the edges. Fourth thing, and this one surprised me, app reliability matters more than you think. The robot connects to your Wi-Fi and communicates with an app on your phone. You use the app to schedule runs, check status, view maps, and troubleshoot errors. If the app is slow or buggy or loses connection frequently, the entire experience falls apart. You can't start a run remotely. You can't check if it finished. You can't see where it got stuck. I didn't think about this when buying. I assumed all apps were basically the same. They're not. Some companies invest heavily in software. The app is fast, responsive, intuitive. It updates regularly with new features and bug fixes. It integrates with Google Home, Alexa, and other smart home platforms. Other companies treat the app as an afterthought. It's clunky. It crashes. It loses connection to the robot randomly. Updates are rare. Features that should be simple, like starting a specific room clean, require navigating through 3 menus. And you can't judge this from the product page. You have to use the app to know if it's good. My advice, before you buy, search brand name, app reviews, and see what people are complaining about. If there are consistent complaints about connectivity, crashes, or poor UI, take that seriously. You'll be using that app multiple times a week for years. A robot with slightly worse suction, but a great app is a better purchase than a robot with amazing suction and a terrible app. Fifth thing, firmware updates are a double-edged sword. When I first got my robot, I was excited to see firmware updates. New features, better navigation, improved obstacle detection. Then I installed one. The robot became noticeably slower. Cleaning times increased by 15%. It paused more often mid-run, seemingly thinking. I installed another update 6 months later. Same thing, slower, more cautious, longer cleaning times. Here's why: the hardware doesn't change, but the software keeps getting more complex. Each update adds features that require more processing power. The robot has to work harder to make the same decisions. It's like installing the latest iOS on a 5-year-old iPhone. Technically it works, but it's slower. Some companies are good about optimizing updates for older hardware. Others just add features without considering performance impact on devices sold 2 or 3 years ago. My current strategy: I don't install firmware updates unless there's a critical bug fix or a feature I specifically need. If the robot is working fine, I leave it alone. This is controversial advice. Some people say you should always update for security and performance. But in my experience, updates have consistently made my robot slower without adding features I actually use. Your mileage may vary, but it's something to be aware of. Sixth thing, battery life degrades faster than you expect. Lithium-ion batteries lose capacity over time. Everyone knows this. But I didn't realize how much it would affect navigation. A fresh battery holds a full charge and delivers consistent voltage. The robot moves confidently. It climbs thresholds easily. It runs for 90 to 120 minutes depending on floor type. After a year, my robot's battery was noticeably weaker. Runtime dropped to 70 minutes. That's annoying but manageable. But the real issue was voltage sag. Under load, like climbing a threshold or running on carpet, the battery voltage would drop. The motors would slow down. The robot would struggle with obstacles it used to clear effortlessly. It became more cautious. It approached thresholds slowly. It sometimes gave up on carpet and returned to hardwood. This wasn't a software issue. It was hardware degradation, and there's no firmware update that can fix it. Some robot vacuums have replaceable batteries, some don't. Check before you buy. If the battery isn't user-replaceable, the functional life of the robot is limited to the battery life, probably 2 to 4 years depending on usage. That's fine if you're planning to upgrade anyway. But if you're expecting a 10-year investment, you need a replaceable battery. Seventh thing, not all floor types are equal. Hardwood, tile, and laminate are easy. The robot glides across them. Suction works well, brushes don't get tangled, cleaning is fast, low-pile carpet is manageable. The robot slows down slightly because of the friction, but it works fine, high-pile carpet or shag rugs. Forget it, the robot either gets stuck, or it runs over the surface without actually cleaning it because the brush can't reach the base of the fibers. Dark hardwood or dark tile can confuse the cliff sensors. The sensors are designed to detect drop-offs like stairs by looking for a sudden change from floor to void. But dark floors sometimes look like voids. The robot sees a dark patch and thinks it's a cliff. It stops and refuses to continue. You can sometimes fix this by adjusting sensor sensitivity in the app. Sometimes you can't. It depends on the model. Glossy floors create reflections that confuse cameras. The robot sees the reflection and interprets it as an obstacle or a duplicate object. It slows down to investigate. Again, these aren't things you can predict from the product page. You learn them by running the robot in your home. Eighth thing, pet hair is a special challenge. This surprised me because pet hair is one of the main reasons people buy robot vacuums. Every marketing page shows the robot effortlessly cleaning up after dogs and cats, and it does to a point. Robot vacuums handle loose pet hair on hard floors extremely well, better than a manual vacuum actually because they run more frequently. They pick up hair before it accumulates into tumbleweeds. But long hair, human or pet, wraps around the brush roller. After a few runs, the roller looks like a yarn spool. You have to cut the hair off with scissors every week or two. Some models have anti-tangle rollers with rubber fins instead of bristles. Those help, but they don't eliminate the problem entirely. If you have pets, budget time for brush maintenance. It's not hard, 5 minutes every week or two, but it's not optional. Also, if your pet sheds heavily during certain seasons, the dustbin will fill mid-run. Even with a self-emptying dock, the robot can only hold so much before it needs to return and empty. During shedding season, my robot makes 2 trips to the dock per cleaning cycle. That doubles the cleaning time, not a deal breaker but something to know. Ninth thing, and this is the big one, you have to change your home to fit the robot. I thought I was buying a device that would adapt to my life. Instead, I adapted my life to the device. I started picking up floor clutter every night before bed so the robot could run in the morning. Shoes, dog toys, charging cables, anything on the floor had to be moved. I lifted dining chairs onto the table before runs because the robot sometimes got stuck between the legs. I rearranged furniture to create clearer pathways. I moved a floor lamp because the robot kept getting tangled in the cord. I replaced my bathroom rug with a thinner one because the old rug had tassels that jammed the brush. None of this is hard, but it's a behavioral shift. I'm now maintaining a robot-friendly home which requires daily effort. And here's the thing, I don't mind. The trade-off is worth it. The robot saves me more time than I spend prepping the floor. But I didn't expect it. If someone had told me up front, you'll need to pick up your floors every day and adjust your furniture layout, I might have reconsidered. Or I might have bought it anyway, but with realistic expectations. That's all I'm asking for, realistic expectations. So here's what I'd tell someone before they buy a robot vacuum. Buy one if you have mostly hard floors, minimal thresholds, consistent lighting, and you're willing to prep your floors before each run. Buy one if you want to reduce how often you manually vacuum, not eliminate it entirely. Buy one if you can afford the self-emptying dock version. Don't buy one if you have thick carpet, lots of furniture, variable lighting, or you want true hands-off cleaning. Don't buy one if you're not willing to change your habits to accommodate it. And whichever you buy, know that it will work great for 3 months, then slowly become more temperamental. Not broken, just less predictable. You'll learn its quirks, you'll adjust. It'll still be useful, but it won't be magic. It's a tool. A finicky, particular, sometimes frustrating tool that happens to save you time when you use it correctly. That's the truth the sales page won't tell you.